Austin, originally from San Diego, moved to Chicago a couple years ago. Currently working as technical help desk with Charles Schwab, and I'm also an affiliate with Hack the Box. So I create cybersecurity content on YouTube as well. I found Evolve Academy last year, trying to break into cybersecurity, and found the bootcamp perfect, laying the foundation of all the different topics necessary to hop in. And actually during the bootcamp, that's when I found my current role. So I was super excited about that. Yeah, other than that, still in Chicago and excited to be here. Thank you.
I think what a lot of our participants, they are either considering the OSCP or they are actively studying for the OSCP. So let's talk a little bit about your OSCP journey, Austin. I'll ask my first question to you is, how did you prepare for the exam? Like, what was your study regime like? What was your methodology for preparing and studying, to take the exam?
Sure. So my methodology and study practice, everything that leading up to the exam was as follows. I originally started looking at the PNPT as a stepping stone towards the OSCP. With the recent changes of the Active Directory set, I thought it would be perfect, stepping stone towards that. So, like I mentioned, last year I took the Cybersecurity Bootcamp, just had a handful of pen testing experience with that, took the Security Plus, and then started looking into the PNPT material. That was really the first kind of hands-on study on your own sort of material that I used. Unfortunately, I tried that exam twice and I failed both times.
The PNPT?
The PNPT, correct.
Okay.
It was a great learning experience covering the topics necessary towards the OSCP. But what was lacking for me was that structure and guidance. After you take your PNPT, if you fail, they give you a hint, but even the hint didn't really give me a sense of direction after that for that second attempt. So I, had the intention of going towards the OSCP. I had purchased, the material at the same time as the PNPT. So just moving past the PNPT, moving towards the OSCP, I had a different mindset. I definitely needed some sort of structure towards the learning material. I knew that self-study, it can help, but I definitely needed some sort of structure and guidance with a class, basically, and that's how I found the OSCP Bootcamp. So I had started kind of briefly going through the PWK OSCP material, just kind of glancing through the topics, a lot of it correlating or relating to what I studied in the PNPT, but it wasn't until kind of stepping into the bootcamp with my classmates and having that kind of one-on-one or just guided approach with an experienced penetration tester that really opened my eyes to the different possibilities when performing a penetration test. So that, along with kind of self-studying afterwards, what's recommended is 8 weeks after the bootcamp, after the end of the bootcamp, schedule your test. So within that time, really diving into the material given by OffSec. I should mention this before getting to that. The final, I would say the final of the OSCP Bootcamp was the primary and the most, what's the word? I would say the best thing about the bootcamp was that real mock exam that puts you into that test environment, what it's like. So you get time management skills and just getting a feel of what the real exam would be like. So I would say that was the most beneficial part towards kind of gaining the confidence as well towards my successful OSCP attempt. So from that final, then we moved into 8 weeks. I had to push it back 1 week. So I did 9 weeks of self-study with the PWK material. What's recommended there is the bonus points that you can obtain to kind of bump your score up. Those are the designated labs as well as the exercises throughout the training material. So those 2 portions are definitely recommended if you're looking to get your OSCP. I guess other than that, repetition was key. So what I mean by that, I received this piece of advice as well. Going through a particular machine over and over again. So you are building that muscle memory. What I did with this was the Active Directory sets. Just going through the Active Directory sets that they have to offer through the OffSec material over and over again to get the muscle memory of that particular attack pathway to prepare for the exam, knowing that that was the biggest portion, weighted the most on the exam, practicing that the most. So
Ooh,
that was the entire
yeah,
training up until exam day.
nice. So mostly, I think what I heard was you did the Evolve Academy's OSCP bootcamp. You followed our structure. You're the first person who said that, you enjoyed the exam, honestly. We, the the final exam that we have at the end of the boot camp,
Mhm.
it is a 24-hour exam. I mean, it is, obviously the OSCP exam is way more difficult. But just getting the students into that mindset of like, you have 24 hours to cover 5 machines, right? And you have to sit in one place. I mean, you don't use the entire 24 hours, you sleep and such as well, and you eat.
Mhm.
But just getting everybody into that mindset. I'm really glad you mentioned that, because when we built the exam, that was the objective. Like, one was, it's the final exam for the boot camp, and it's a good prep exam for the actual OSCP exam. And it helps because it's a real exam that you take. All right, my next question, Austin, is what were some of the challenges you faced when you were preparing for the OSCP exam?
Sure. Some of the challenges I faced while preparing for the OSCP exam was burnout towards the end of those 8, 9 weeks of studying. That was the main thing, as well as, I guess, time management. That was also, I guess, a tricky thing to deal with.
It's like running a marathon, right? I mean,
Mhm.
when the date of the marathon comes through, you do feel a little bit of burnout. So how did you deal with that burnout? Like, you've prepared, and now how do you deal with that burnout in the very last week or the very last day before you take the
Mm,
exam?
mm. Sure. First, it was kind of burnout towards the bonus points. It's kind of a rigorous process to get those, but once you achieve that, you have your final goal in mind. Once you achieve that, then you're like, okay, at least I have at least 10 points towards the final. So in that regard, it's a weight off your shoulders. So it's really it really is like a willpower mental sort of thing. Like, okay, you feel this way, but you're focused on your goal, on passing the exam, and kind of what really helped me was kind of positive affirmations. So just telling myself like, okay, like I will pass this. I have gone through the boot camp. I took the exam. I took another mock exam. I have the bonus points. I've been practicing. This kind of like just like law of attraction, bringing positivity. You will pass this exam. There's no doubt. That's what helped get past that burnout.
Cool. Um, Now, Austin, you passed the OSCP exam on the first attempt. So, you went to the you went through the 8-week boot camp, and then you passed on your first attempt. Let's talk a little bit about the strategy on exam day. Like, what was your strategy? What was your strategy for actually taking the exam and passing it on the first attempt? I thought it was amazing. It's a very difficult exam, and very
Mhm.
not many people pass on the first attempt. So how did you do it? What is your strategy on exam day?
My strategy on exam day really has to do with the time management thing. Having done two mock exams previously, what I did first was kind of cycle through the targets. So, there's three independent machines and then the AD set. So just cycling, I did an hour each, kind of enumeration, hour each. And then after those first 4 hours, maybe taking a break. But then after those first 4 hours, going back to the one that I felt furthest along. So maybe it wasn't just enumeration, but I got further within that. So it just followed through with that until the end. So I was able to complete that first machine, I don't know, 4 hours after that. So within 6 hours, I got the first route. With the bonus points, it's kind of like a strategy. The only thing left I would need to pass was the AD set. So then all the attention went towards that. I did try kind of cycling through the other two, but I just felt like I couldn't. It was something kind of outside of my experience, something that I would like to kind of focus more on now. But during the exam, I was like, okay, this is kind of out of my wheelhouse for now. Let me focus on the AD set, what I was practicing with that repetition. So that was, I would say, the biggest thing. Cycling through the targets at first, going with where you feel most confident with, and then strategizing that point distribution was kind of like my strategy for the exam. I would say this, jumping back to the time management, it's so important to take your breaks. And if your body is tired, you need to sleep. I mean, it's simple. You think, or you can tell yourself that, oh, if I just put another hour or whatever, maybe I'll get further. But if you're mentally drained, you might not get anywhere at all, which was my case. So that was kind of my strategy
Cool.
during the
Thank you.
exam.
For folks that are planning to take the OSCP exam, like they haven't started their studies yet, they are thinking about it. OSCP is a goal, right, for these cybersecurity professionals. What advice would you give them?
Sure. If someone were looking to obtain their OSCP, the advice I'd give them would be, I would definitely recommend, OSCP Bootcamp with Evolve. First off, it has the guidance and structure that you need with an experienced penetration tester. You have supportive classmates that are working towards the same goal, and a sense of community. Everyone's available in either Discord or Slack, and really everyone's working towards the same goal together. And so you, along with the mock final, get that real world experience, that mock exam experience that prepares you for the end goal. So that, along with just taking the advice of studying the 8 weeks after the boot camp, would suffice in obtaining that.
You go through a very practical certification like the OSCP, right? You gain a lot of skills. How do you use those skills? How do you talk to the hiring manager about the skills that you've gained through a certification?
In terms of, I guess, penetration testing, because I'm in a technical help desk role, it's not quite the same. But the thing that I do find is, with troubleshooting or finding these different routes of problem solving, is very beneficial. So it's almost the reverse. It's not trying to break into a system in my current job. It's almost the opposite. It's like trying to, how do I fix this problem in a creative way? So in regards to kind of the skills that I learned from the exam and boot camp, that's how it applies to my day job right now. In terms of conveying those skills during an interview, I would say you just kind of tell your story. When you're in an interview, you're telling your story. So these are the things that I learned. I went to Cybersecurity Bootcamp. This is what I learned. I took OSCP Bootcamp. I studied, and I got the certification. And these are all the skills that I learned from those experiences.
All right, the next question is from an anonymous attendee. Was this your first experience attending a CyberSec bootcamp, either at Evolve or elsewhere? If so, how does Evolve's OSCP bootcamp compare to others?
Sure. Was this my first experience attending a cybersecurity bootcamp at Evolve, and how does it compare to others? I took Evolve's cybersecurity bootcamp last year, and it was this year in April when I took their OSCP bootcamp. So I did take both. In terms of other OSCP bootcamps, I'm not quite sure.
I can answer that question. So there is no other OSCP bootcamp. We are the only cybersecurity academy that's actually teaching the OSCP in an 8-week bootcamp format. There are some others that are teaching this in a 5-day format. And again, I honestly think that you cannot cover the entire OSCP material in 5 days. That's just my opinion. I think it's impossible for the students to gain any value from a 5-day OSCP bootcamp. So we are the only people that are actually doing a real cybersecurity bootcamp worldwide. We teach this over 8 weeks. We meet 3 days a week. It's all part-time. It's in the evenings, so 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central. And now how do we compare to other training institutions, right? So Evolve is a cybersecurity services company. We do penetration testing for a living. And we teach those skills to our students in the evenings. We are an OffSec partner. We are a OffSec learning partner. And what we do is we have our own labs. So we've built our own labs where we actually teach the concepts in great detail using our own labs. And then we also, because we're an OffSec learning partner, we give our students a 90-day access to the OSCP Pen 200 coursework. So we also use the OffSec curriculum for teaching. So what you get with us is, a very structured course. It's the time is spread over 8 weeks. So you have an opportunity to ask questions to the instructors. There is a sense of community, as Austin was talking about, a sense of collaboration. We have office hours before class on Tuesdays and Thursdays, office hours after class on Wednesdays. So, you can stop by and you can ask your instructors questions about the concepts that are covered in the class. And if you didn't understand that, we also have a Slack channel where students can ask questions and also meet us out of class. So not only do you get a good curriculum from industry experts, the instructor teaching the OSCP bootcamp is OSCP certified and OffSec authorized instructor for the bootcamp. But what you get is a very structured pathway of how do you get to go from point A to, point Z. How do you take the exam? And, how do you prepare for the exam and such? So those are the kind of things that you get with our bootcamp. All right, Conrad has a question. How do you keep your knowledge active and present that you learned in preparing for this? I find it's really easy to forget everything you've learned for a certification after you pass if you're not using it regularly.
Sure. So how do I keep my skills up to date, I guess, and continuing education? Yeah, really, it's a you're a lifelong learner when you enter this field, and tools, or I guess platforms like Try Hack Me or Hack the Box are designed for you to continue to practice your skills. So right now, once you lay your foundation, then you won't kind of want to specialize in a certain direction. So I'm currently looking towards like web application penetration testing and bug bounty hunting. So with Hack the Box, for example, they have a bug bounty hunter kind of like job role path. So they have different modules structured and different boxes that you can practice those skills and continue learning, I guess.
Yeah,
So that's how to, keep up to date.
that's a great answer, Austin. And OffSec also has the Web 200 course, which a lot of folks that get through Pen 200 OSCP, they look at the Pen 300 course, the Experienced Penetration Tester. Web 200, I believe, also is a great course, for anybody looking into web application penetration testing. And then, the advanced over there is the Web 300. So those are also some good, certifications that you can look at. And again, just like the OSCP exam, these are all practical, all hands-on, 24-hour exams. So if you're open for more punishment, I think you should look at those. All right. Anonymous attendee says, what kind of background did you have prior to attending the first Evolve bootcamp? So prior to coming to the Cybersecurity Bootcamp, Austin, what sort of background did you have?
Sure. Prior to coming to the Cybersecurity Bootcamp, in terms of tech experience, just growing up with computers, and that's basically it. I didn't work in IT before that. Like I mentioned, I got my first IT job while attending the boot camp, but prior to that, just grew up with computers. My dad works with computers. He's a computer administrator. Kind of taught me a thing or two, but not too much. Kind of like a self-study, just jump right in and learn as much as I can. So
Awesome. That's a great story. Coming into the Cybersecurity Bootcamp with no prior tech experience, you got a job while you were in the boot camp, and then you came back for the OSCP bootcamp, and then got the OSCP, and you passed the exam on the first attempt. That was amazing. So,
yeah.
Austin, I really appreciated you coming back and
Thank you.
sharing your wisdom with us today. I really appreciate it.